Now, okay, we're going to crochet the handle. It's just a simple handle, and that we're just going to join it with by sewing it at the edges here. So we're going to repeat for the opposite side. Anything we do for one side is the same thing we will do for the other side. Alright, so we want to start with a chain of 64. So let's chain 64. Chain 64, and we will start with single crochet into the second chain from hook. That means we're skipping the very first chain, single crochet into the next chain, single crochet into the next chain as well. I'm working into that back bump. Okay, at the back, this is the front of the chain and this is the back of the chain. So I'm working into that back bump because I just really like I like the aesthetic this gives. So yeah, so we're going to do single crochet into each of the chains. We're going to have 63 stitches at the end of the row. So let's do this, and I will see you at the end of row 1. "63 stitches across, chain 1 and turn into the first stitch. That is the last stitch on row 1. We will make 2 single crochets. Okay, I'm carrying this tail so that I'll just weave it in as I go. Okay, 2 single crochets in there and single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch as well. So we'll do single crochets into each of the stitches, and in the last stitch we'll do another 2 single crochet stitches. So let's repeat single crochet into each of these stitches. Two single crochets into the last stitch. Now we have 65 stitches because we had 63 here. Chain 1, turn, and we will repeat row 2 again. Into the very first stitch, 2 single crochets. And single crochet, 1 single crochet into each of the remaining stitches except the last stitch. In the last stitch of the row we're going to make 2 single crochet stitches as we did for row 2. So I'm going to see you at the end of row 3. And we will finish the row with 2 single crochets and 2. However, for this last one we were going to join the contrast color because we're going to use it on the next 2 rows, rows 4 and 5. Chain 1 and turn. Okay, so into the first stitch we'll go again 2 single crochets, Alright, so now we're going to do slip stitches. We're going to slip stitch in through the loops, both loops, okay? You'll just go into the stitch. We want to do the slip stitches a bit loosely so that when we're coming back to work them on row 5, it will be easier to work into. So slip stitch into each of the stitches, just like what we have here. Take your time and do the slip stitches. And when we get to the end of row 5, we will make another 2 single crochets into the last stitch. Alright, we're at the last stitch and 2 single crochets into that last stitch. Okay, heading on to row 5. So row 1, 63 stitches, row 2, 65 stitches, row 3, 67 stitches, row 4, 69 stitches, and row 5 will be 71 stitches. Chain 1, turn into the very first stitch, 2 single crochets, and slip stitch into the next stitch. You know, that stitch is a single crochet. Now we're going to be working into the slip stitches. Alright, so if you see this part, you see 2 loops. What we want to do is work into just one of the loops, which is the front loop basically, because it's the one facing us. So we want to work into one of the loops, okay? This front loop here, and slip stitch. We go again in the front loop, only slip stitch. Right? We want to repeat this across the row. We have 2 single crochets left here, so I'm going to do a slip stitch into the next stitch, which is a single crochet, slip stitch, and finish the row with 2 single crochets into the last stitch. I'm going to drop the contrast yarn and pick up the main yarn and finish up that single crochet. Okay, we're heading on to row 6 now. Chain 1 and turn. Two single crochets into the first stitch. Alright, single crochet into see, now we're going to be working into the slip stitches again. We'll work again into the front loop only. We're making single crochets this time, so into the front loop again, single crochet, single crochet, front loop, single crochet, Alright, we want to do this across the row. Alright, we're still on this. We have 2 stitches left. These 2 stitches are the 2 single crochets from previous row. So we're going to work into that single crochet stitch under both loops because it's a single crochet stitch, not a slip stitch, and finish with 2 single crochets into the last stitch. 2 more rows to go and we're done with this row. We're making 8 rows. So heading on to row 7, chain 1 and turn 2 single crochets into the first stitch. So for row 7 and row 7 and 8, we're repeating row 2. Alright, so we'll do this 2 single crochets into the first stitch and a single crochet into each of the stitches across till the last stitch. In the last stitch, 2 single crochets, chain 1, turn, repeat another row of the same thing. That is, repeat another row of row 7. Okay, so I'm going to do this and I will see you at the end of row 8. Right now we're on row 7, so finish row 7 and chain 1, turn, finish row 8. Alright, now that we have all the rows complete, 8 rows, we will join to the body of the bag. Okay, so this is row 8 now. We're not going to snip this yarn, we're just going to continue here. So remember that we have 8 rows here on this side when we increased this part of the bag. So we're going to go on each row. You might want to use a stitch marker to mark your stitches. So counting from here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You are not going to, you may not see clearly here, but through yours you would. So I will start on the 8th row. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I'm going to go in there. Okay, let me chain 1 first. I will chain 1. Okay, chain 1 on the body pattern on the handle, and I'll go into the first row there. Rather, this last row that I just finished, I'll go into the stitch again and I will connect it to the body as well. Alright, and I will do a single crochet. Alright, that one is done. I will go to the next row and also the next row on this body. Okay, and another single crochet. I will repeat it again on the next row. I will go in there. That's number 3 now, and I have another one here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, right here. All right, 3 down, 5 to go. Next row, I go in there. 3, 4, 5, and go into the stitch. Into the other row there. Alright, you take your time and do this. I go in here, next row. 3, 4, 5, 4. Okay, and in here, 5 down, 3 to go. In the next row, and in the next row here, okay, next row, next row here, and the last row, and the last row here. Okay, now I am going to finish with a slip stitch in through here. I mean, same row, but I'm just going into the bottom of the stitch itself. You see where we have all these the top of the stitches there. I will go in there in the bottom right there, and I'll go into the same stitch again right there of that row. All right, that last row, and I will do a slip stitch just to close it up real good. Okay, once I finish, and I'm going to snip the yarn. This one we will weave it in. So there it is. Okay, the first one is done. Now heading on to the second. We want to do the same thing. So we're going to join the yarn first. So here is my very first row. I'm using these loops. Remember that when we were working this row, we worked into the front loop, so we have these ridges right here. So the next line is the first row. So I'm going to go into that first row. I'm going to pull the yarn in, and I will chain one. So this chain one is kind of like acting as the slip stitch from this side that we did on here. Now I'm going to pick up the handle and go into the first row and go back into the same first row here, okay? And do a single crochet. I'm going to carry this tail along. You know, you can make this video slower, just adjust the playback speed so that you can see each detailed step on a slower play. Alright, row 2, I'll go into row 2. That's my row 2. Go in there and find row 2 on this other side. Okay, here it is. I want this to be as neat as possible, so I'm really taking my time with this. Okay, row 2 and row 3. Row 3. Okay, row 4, the white, the contrast color. And row 5. Row 6. Row 7. row 8. Alright, finish with a chain 1 and slip stitch into that same stitch, the last stitch where we made the 8th stitch. Okay, now we're going to weave in all the tails. Okay, let's weave all of them in. Alright, we are done or almost done. I mean, this is an optional feature. I'm just going to place this, okay, it's optional, so you don't have to do it if you don't have to add it if you don't want to. However, I want to add it on here, so we're going to sew it in. Alright, and this goes here, centralized also, right with the middle here. And we're done. I mean, to make it a little extra, you can add these closures. Of course, it's an optional feature if you want. Alright, thank you so much for joining me on this tutorial. Like this video, share it so that others can see it too and make this really cute bag. Also subscribe to Yarn Craftee so that you can keep abreast of all the things, all the projects that I post on here. Thank you so much. Bye.